Hello YouTubers, in this video we're finally going to put our Deadpool cake together to go along with the cupcakes that we previously made. All the things that you're going to need are listed in the description box. Be sure to check out the video where we made all the weapons for this cake. The link to that's also in the description. Let's go ahead and get started. To make the Deadpool emblem, I rolled out some raspberry flavored fondant to 1/4 inch thick. We have a video on how to make fondant using Jell-O. Link to that is in the description. And then I used a 3-inch cookie cutter to cut out my circle. I used this little template I made to carefully cut out the emblem. Once you're happy with the emblem, we're ready to paint it. The reason I'm using the raspberry fondant is our cake is going to have a raspberry buttercream filling. I just want the fondant on the logo to have the same raspberry flavor. You can use just plain red fondant if you want, or white fondant and paint it as well. I've got some red food coloring here. This is just the kind you buy at the grocery store. And we're just going to paint it on. When you're painting this, make sure you get all the outside edges and the inside edges. This is going to lay flat on top of the cake, so you only need to do one side. Now that our emblem's done, we're ready to put our cake together. I'm using a dark chocolate cake, and I'm going to fill it with this raspberry buttercream frosting. I will put the recipe in the description. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the cake, so we can get to decorating it. I frosted the entire cake in a chocolate buttercream frosting that I dyed black. The first thing we're going to do is put our handles and our blades that go through the cake on. I've already put some little marks on as to where I want these to go. And now what I'm going to do is measure the height of my cake, which is 6 inches. So where I made those little marks, I'm going to go ahead and make another mark 3 inches down so that the blade looks like it's going through the middle of the cake. I've got my marks made, and now I'm going to take one of my handles here that we made in the last video, and I'm going to punch it right through the hole. And I'm going to push it all the way into the cake. Then I'll do the other side. And now we have our two handles. Now we'll do the blades. And here are the blades that we made in the previous video with the 2 dowels. And push it all the way in. And I'll do the other one. And there we have the blades that are going through our cake. Next we're ready to put our Deadpool emblem on. This is rather delicate, so we want to be somewhat careful with it just because of the thin edges. And I'm just going to place that right here towards the front of the cake in the middle. And now we'll add the little eyes to our emblem. I made these little eyes just by taking a 1-inch cookie cutter and then cutting the little circle in half. We're just going to add those right in here. There's our Deadpool emblem. Now it's time to start putting all the blades on top. Now we're ready to put on these really tall blades that we made. And we're going to put them in the back of the cake in kind of an X shape. And Deadpool's going to be standing in front of them. They're on these dowels, so we're just going to push the dowels down into the cake. Now that we have those put on the cake, it's time to just put on some of the other knives and weapons that we made in the previous video on top of the cake. I made a number of different sizes and shaped blades, as well as I took a couple of the throwing stars and cut them in half so that they'll set on top of the cake. I'm just going to start with some of the taller ones in the back and work down to some of the smaller ones up front, and make sure that you leave plenty of room for the Deadpool figure to stand here on top. Now I have about a half a dozen of these throwing stars that we made, and I am just going to put them into the cake. For a little more bling, I've got the silver gumballs, and I'm going to put them as a border at the bottom of the cake. Then we'll be ready to put Deadpool on. Let's take a quick tour of our awesome cake. Thank you for watching today's video. Please leave us some comments. Let us know what other cakes you'd like to see us make. Please join our channel. We'll see you back soon.